Day 162 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Juzzy here, and today is another quick update as I continue with these series of videos at the moment that takes a down-to-earth, day-by-day approach to the happenings on the ground here in Ukraine. What I always do here is start off with the Russian losses. I will compare it to some Ukrainian losses too in a moment, as people seem to like that. But these figures vary widely, and I'll get into that in a moment. But we are currently looking at 41,500 in actual military personnel losses on the Russian side there. We'll quickly have a look at some of the military equipment on the Russian side as well. So the armored combat vehicles, 4 more there. Tanks, 15 new losses on the Russian side. You've probably seen plenty of videos online showing tanks just being destroyed effectively. Happens every day it seems. A bunch of artillery, nothing on the helicopters, boats or ships, anything, boats, floats and flies, that's all, hasn't changed there. But as promised, let's have a little bit of a look. Again, this all widely varies. You've got to sometimes take it with a grain of salt. But if you look at the Ukrainian forces, the Russian government themselves say there's about 23,000 killed. This isn't the latest figures because it is the Russian government. Ukrainian side says about 5. Oh, sorry, this is the US side, says about 5 to 11,000, and the Ukrainian government says about 10,000 killed there. And that's up to June. It's probably the latest one there. I'll look for newer, later figures there, but again, these things wildly vary. It is generally a bit less, though, than what we can see on the Russian side. As they say, the offensive force trying to invade another country usually needs 3 times the amount of troops, for instance, but also takes on about 3 times the amount of losses, typically. Just general military wisdom right there. Okay, so moving on, back to the map. So let's start off with the north side here, as it's a little bit less busy than the south side I'll get into at the moment. But there are actively artillery shells and rockets, and I think missiles, I think they said, were firing from the Belarus, the country of Belarus, into Ukraine. But these were actually Russian forces. So understandably, Ukraine has been pretty annoyed by the fact that Belarus is assisting with the Russian ground forces to allow them to do such a thing there. Now, in the Sumy region, the governor here, so Sumy is the city here that really borders Russia. The governor there said that 3 towns have been shelled by the Russian forces, mostly civilian and commercial targets, or probably not so much targets. Russia just seems to be shooting anything they can in some instances, and there's a lot of information to suggest that they're not precisely targeting anything sometimes. Now we'll slowly shift down to the Donbass region, of which there are some slowly shifting front lines here. I'll just zoom out a little bit here. So as I always say, now the Donbass comprises of 2 oblasts or provinces, the Luhansk region to the north and the Donetsk region to the south. They haven't taken the full amount of Donbass, as we can see here. We've got the negative, the white spaces, I like to call it there, that they really are looking to obtain some sort of military strategic objective or goal to take the Donbass. And if we zoom in here and we go back and forth between the last 2 days, you will see a few little minor changes there, as the Russian forces do appear to be going a little bit forward, closer to Bakhmut, in sort of a small to medium-sized town there. However, Ukraine has indicated that the attempted advances in the Donbass region have still been largely unsuccessful. And when you zoom out, you can clearly see that. One thing I'd probably like to say here is see how they try to advance sometimes. They like to take these arterial roads or main highways, because once you've got a main highway, you've got extra supply lines, that sort of thing. And as they say, the backbone of any military is logistics. Moving across to the Zaporizhia, you probably heard the news say this quite a few times now, the Zaporizhia city or region there. The mayor overnight said there was a little bit of shelling there, unfortunately. But here we go, the Kherson region, probably the most hotly contested area in this on this Ukrainian war map at the moment. Now, the front lines here is actually north of this waterway, aka the Dnieper River. This is where the Russian forces are. Now, in most of this region here, there has been news to indicate that most civilians, the civilians have all but deserted the villages here. So the front lines are really empty, apart from the Russian troops there on one side and the Ukrainian on the other side, which unfortunately makes those people that have had to desert their villages war refugees, of which I think there's about 12 million that have had to leave their homes in Ukraine, move to other areas, 5 million of which had to move to neighboring countries, so not great at all. Also, the Russian military here is working pretty hard to maintain their supply lines. This is talked about so much in the news, but we've got the Antonivka Bridge, the Prydnipro bridge there, and the dam bridge there as well. They're trying to put up pontoons, the Russian forces that is, and ferries to move things across. They are having some issues there. It's not as fast as they want it to be. Hopefully, the Ukrainians can, with certain missile technology, just take out anything that the Russians try to construct there to assist with their military lines. Now, let's see. Moving across, probably just lastly on the map today is Mykolaiv. So overnight there has been some mention of bombing and rockets, so residents are under threat there, so not great. I guess in the end, as you can see this big red line here, if I zoom out of the whole map, Russia obviously would love to take the whole area and of Odessa over here as well, which certainly means that they turn Ukraine into a landlocked country, which isn't great because the port of Odessa, a lot of trade goes in and out through there for Ukraine, so it would be economically crippling for that to occur. So certainly the Ukrainian forces are trying their darndest not to allow that to happen for certain. Now let's just move across to a bit of the news, just quickly and lastly there. I don't want to take up too much of your time. This is sort of dragging on again today a bit, isn't it? So the Estonia, country on the north there, although this map doesn't show it, so we'll go up here. So Estonia up here has called for more sanctions to be placed on Russia. Now, the whole point of these economic sanctions is to affect the public and their living standards so that the political apparatus or the leaders of the country, for instance in Russia, are no longer supported by the general public. So that's the whole idea of it. It can take many months for years to occur, but certainly it's quite ballsy of Estonia to do that, of all countries, because Estonia, as you can plainly see here, has a border with Russia itself. Now, there is a bit of a lake obscuring that border somewhat, but not all the way. So, yeah, certainly quite ballsy of them to do, but good for them. I think it was their foreign minister that said that there. Let's see, in other news, Ukrainian President Zelensky has been attempting to speak directly with China due to China's, I guess you could say, their influence over Russia, because they are quite friendly, those two nations. And but so far, Ukraine has been unsuccessful in making contact with China. No surprises there, really. China's probably trying to keep out of it for the moment. But the thing is, China is actually an official member of the UN Security Council, so they're going to have to talk to them sooner or later. And probably last but not least, you probably hear this a bit in the news, gas flows going from Russia to Europe have stagnated to a level of only 20% of capacity. So Russia is blaming sanctions causing these issues with their turbine infrastructure. Europe, of course, is now in the long-term process of slowly going to look to achieve energy independence from Russia, because, when wars break out, Russia brings down their gas capacity to 20%, as is exactly happening right now. So thanks for watching, guys. Please leave a comment, subscribe, hit that like button. Definitely hit that like button. There's a lot of trolls in the comments, as you'll plainly see. And I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.